You're listening to the AFL Unlimited podcast, where we tackle all the hot topics in the AFL and bring you up to speed with everything you need to know in the football landscape. We'll take a look at this weekend's games and have some mixed discussion about what to expect. Let's head up to the box for the opening bounce. Welcome to AFL Unlimited. As the dust from round 4 settles, three things are clear. Melbourne, the Bulldogs and Sydney are finals and, albeit unlikely, Premiership contenders. Richmond, Geelong and the Eagles need to do some work to make the top 4 from here. And 2021 is set to be one of the most exciting seasons in a long time. The first month of footy is away and things will only get more enticing from here. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook to catch our content and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify to hear us weekly. Boys, let's get into it.
Hello, so excited.
Another big week of football, lots to get into. A few news segments, Chook, to start with.
Yeah, just a few news things. Most people might have touched on this or seen it on Facebook, etc. But Heppel's big speech at the end of the loss. Now, we're going to touch on the game a bit later, but I thought that was a great speech. Like, I would have thought he'd rehearsed that like 40 times, the way he just perfectly singled out players and you know, just said how he thinks the club's building to something that's actually good. And what was the quote? I don't know if you know, like, we're actually trying for the first time in a long time or something.
Yeah.
How hard isn't it?
That struck a big chord with me. Yeah, it's like for the first time in a while, the club, everyone was like, you know, busting their ass for success. And I think you could probably read through the lines there of maybe some players that left in the off-season, Danaher, Oratio, maybe weren't all in, but it was a great...
A bit of a drive by.
Yeah, but it was a great, like, I want to go for war for guys and people now. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It's good access, isn't it?
And that's what I'm more touching on, the next specifics of his speech. But what do we think in general of this sort of insiderness? I know clubs have been pretty hesitant in the past to reveal that sort of stuff because, you know, it exposes them to their opposition, etc. But this sort of access, I actually really love the initiative and showing it. I know we all got around Joel Selwood's speech last year before they went up on the races in the finals. That was really exciting, and I'm really liking this content. What do you think, Tiz?
Well, we do enjoy making their mark, which obviously is a bit of an Amazon Prime documentary. It is great to have that kind of transparency in the competition and just get a bit of insight into what's actually happening, what goes on behind closed doors. Everyone wants to know what actually happens, and when you do see it and it's delivered in such a manner as Heppel did, you just really appreciate it.
And we get a lot of fabricated garbage as well.
Yes.
So it's great to get some actual real stuff. Because when you hear players talk at quarter time or throughout the week, I mean, a lot of it you get nothing out of. When we can get some raw stuff, and to touch on the club aspect, I hope more and more come on board. Because like watching that doco that Tiz mentioned, I mean, I'm sure we all were like, man, imagine if it was your club. Like, how good would it be to see your own club? So it'd be great when more and more clubs hopefully open their doors to that sort of stuff.
And on the flip side, there can be bad transparency too. I think Leon Cameron was probably one who wasn't probably featured in a great light in that documentary, but all in all, it was great to get that access. And obviously there were some incidents there, or not incidents, just happenings with Stephen Cornelio.
But it's real.
It is real, and I loved it. I watched that thing in as quick as I possibly could, and it just gives you so much more context around individuals, coaches, players, clubs, all that sort of stuff. And going into this year, it's really good to have that context.
With people eating it up, I think a lot more clubs are going to get into this.
I want season
sort of
2 right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot better than, you know, we've heard Hutchie and all these guys saying, reporters and journalists should be allowed in the room so they can interview people and stuff. That's not the sort of stuff that I want to see, because it's just going to be the same old questions that they always ask.
That side of things.
Let the club expose actual raw information rather than all the players would be on guard. They're always on guard when BT's roaming around the rooms and when there's people. They're just sitting there doing their usual bullshit. But if a club member who they actually know is, you know, asking them questions and stuff, they're going to answer it and they're going to be upfront. And I'm really enjoying that sort of content.
I know who's not going to feature in that, and that'll be Chris Scott. Every press conference I hear, I know the reason why, but I'm not going to tell you. Just every single time, more of a Geelong front there. But
here's a riddle for you.
Ben Rutten was asked about that Tom Hickey decision. He was like, I didn't see it.
I know. Couldn't you
What are
just
you
say
watching with 40 seconds left to go in the last
Couldn't you
quarter?
say I just don't want to comment?
Yeah,
Of
no
course
comment.
you bloody saw it.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
The reporter was like, what?
I don't watch the game, guys. I put my headphones in and I just listen to
You got to sleep for the last 40 seconds? Or what happened there?
What's up next, Chucky D?
Well, something on the agenda here is we started out high-scoring games at fast-moving football. I think some of us noticed putting the foot on the brakes a little bit. The defence is coming back in. You've got some thoughts on this, Shorty?
I know, I think the trend is a bit concerning, but I think you're right. It was probably always going to come back to the pack a little bit. I know there were some stats. Was it Thursday or Friday night footy? Gary Lyon was all on the sort of transition from D50 to forward 50, just going down from, I think, sides doing it 27% of the time in round 1 to 18% in round 4. So we loved what we got early on. I think we all expected a little bit more defensive stuff and clubs to maybe adapt to that style and sort of rebel against it. I just wonder, I still think we got a pretty reasonable round of footy. So hopefully it just doesn't really get too congested and what we used to know. But
That's not what you said about the Saturday night games, but that's all right.
yeah, well, some good footy. The Saturday night games were absolute trash.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Quality-wise.
Is it because you're tipping all wrong? Or?
Oh, my tipping was fine because I'm on top of the bloody ladder, boys.
Oi!
Okay.
I remember that stat from Gareth Lyon.
Gareth.
I saw that and I'm like, because they said I'll give it about 6 weeks and it'll probably be a normal game by then. By the time everyone sort of develops their game plans and synchronises accordingly. Yeah, that's right. So hopefully it was sort of a crummy weather weekend for football. So hopefully a bit better, more play on from D50 next week.
Well, I know one of the games we'll comment on a bit later was certainly crummy weather and crummy football. But before we get into the game reviews, I just wanted to introduce a little segment, a little bit of a segment. Just something for all the fans out there, I'm going to call this one Untouched. Something the media doesn't pick up on each week, and something different, because I guarantee you some of the things we bring up in this segment won't be highlighted by the mainstream media, and I guarantee you that the fans of the clubs will be listening, if they are listening, and they'll see these things, and I really hope they appreciate the extra effort that we go into segments such as this. So something I wanted to highlight, we were watching this game, all of us saw it, and it leads perfectly into the Port and Richmond review that you're about to do. Willem Drew's final quarter against Richmond was incredible.
Who's that?
The red-headed midfielder for
Number
Port
28.
Adelaide. A bit of a no-name, he came in similar, Rosie, Dersma, Butters came in that sort of draft crop, and he's sort of been the man that's been left behind out of that stardom. But he had a crucial couple of marks, a couple of great kicks. And I wouldn't say won them the game, but especially in the last 5 minutes, he took a really good contested mark down the line and pretty much locked the game away for them. So just a little tidbit. We might bring this segment up every now and then, or if we have other stuff to talk about, but just thought it was something for you guys and the fans to appreciate.
He had a big last quarter. He's keeping Tom Rockcliffe out of the side, which not too many people would have thought. And what sort of name is Willem?
Well, it's not William.
Defoe!
Once upon a time, when I was a journalist in Ballarat, he's a North Ballarat boy, and I was covering him, and for 4 stories straight, I called him William. So
That's a nice little
I thought his name was William, and I made 4 mistakes in a row.
But if he keeps playing the way he's playing, especially clinching late games...
You noticed his head was getting redder and redder and redder as he kept calling him William.
Just a little one, but off to you, Tiz, for the review.
Something else that caught our eye.
If you wanted to add to that.
Absolutely. Untouched for the round. You were very good on the Facebook ad front this afternoon with Tommy Hawkins and Stephen.
I did get that off someone from Twitter, but there's an interesting alignment of ads for OPSM and Tom Hawkins, and then there was a picture of Stephen May's eye socket and eyeball hanging out of his head. So, and I think the tagline was like OPSM and Geelong looking after your eyes or something like that.
With Hawkins
just like belted May's eye out of his head. But,
Helping get more
Shout out to the creator there. So it was a massive game, obviously, with Port Adelaide and the Richmond Tigers Football Club. Adelaide Oval, we knew this was going to be a really tough game going in, prelim final, rematch. Port won by 2 points in what was a very tough affair. I mean, one of the most brutal games of the year so far. Port needed about 12 medical subs.
Yeah, it was insane.
75 players were injured. It was bloody crazy. So, but Port won the contested possession clearance count battle this time around. Obviously, the Tigers got it done when it counted in the final last year, so it seems to be quite a significant stat to get around. And I know a number of clubs need that count to go their way in order to win. So, yeah, Richmond got it done last year, but not this time around. So.
Almost, though, with that Robbie Gray potentially deliberate handball through the point post. I thought we were going to be seeing a bit of deja vu.
It was a bit scary, that one. Yeah. But Port had all the play in the second term. They couldn't put it on the scoreboard. It was so frustrating. They had just so many chances, but they couldn't quite put them away. So it could have been more comfortable, but they still got the job done. Speaking of Roboth Gray,
Ramesh.
Yeah, Ramesh is one of the best in the business at kicking the clincher. So he's done it a couple of times in very recent times. And also Richmond, they're going to be hard to beat once again. They're incredibly brave and just showed how tough they are. They won't lose any fans. Shouldn't have any concerns at all because they very much nearly stole it, and they're just so good.
Little issues popping up for Richmond, but nothing major.
It was interesting. It's probably the first time in a little while that I've seen Richmond blood some new guys, some new talent. So I think they had, was it a couple of debutants?
2 debutants.
And then one guy who's been in and out a little bit.
Both of them got tackled holding the ball.
Yeah, that was a bit disappointing. So clearly there's some, learning curves to come for those guys. But I haven't seen, Richmond, debut that many players the last couple of years. They've had their set guys that they want to play, but dropping Caddy and dropping a few other guys just to make a bit of a statement, I think.
I think Richmond fans are absolutely calling out for Riley Collier-Dawkins to finally debut. And Patrick Naish, I think, needs to be in that category too.
Yeah, I thought Naish looked alright when he did play, and I heard them talking about Collier-Dawkins. They said it's just he's a big-bodied sort of guy, and I think it's just his athletic ability. Yeah. But he shouldn't be far off.
Well, they said
he's been knocking on the door for about 18 months.
They said 10 players have been drafted and debuted since.
Really?
Collier-Dawkins.
Because he was when he was drafted, it was like,
it was a big
he's probably going to debut around one sort of thing. But like you said, Tiz, it's a little dent in the Tigers' armour, but I don't think that gives any less confidence in what they can do. Like their game style, it just holds up.
Yeah. If we looked this time last year, Richmond started the season kind of iffy as well. They had a few injuries, a few people that need to come back, but there were the same sort of questions being thrown at them. I still think they're a champion team and they'll keep going. And
you touched on those stats with the contested pill and that. It's very interesting, isn't it? That it seems to be the crucial thing against the Tigers. Little sliding doors moment. I should have mentioned it before with Drew, but it's funny how one guy's terrible moment can be another guy's good one. Dersma, when he went off and did that shocking injury, Drew actually came on.
Yeah.
And because of that little exchange, he had to come off. Drew came straight on. Yeah. The Richmond player had no idea he was there holding the ball.
Yeah, that was
probably Drew's biggest moment
of his
career.
One of the debutants.
So just a nice little sliding doors moment.
Yeah, that's literally a sliding doors, isn't it? So sliding interchanges. So
great game.
We mentioned thought it was a pretty good game. Sorry, Lang. I was going to touch on Jack Riewoldt. Is still looking pretty good. Like he started the season pretty well and he's looking good, but he had one very crucial moment. I think was it in the last quarter or it was pretty later in the game. He had a set shot. He didn't even make the distance. And it was a gettable goal. The way he'd been kicking them, I was thinking, he's going to slot this. They're going to get the lead. They're going to run away and win. And he didn't even get the distance. He was way off. It's interesting how he's had that happen a couple of times.
And there may be just the little things as a guy gets older that just take him from that Premiership champion to still very good, but maybe they're just the little margins when people talk about good sides dropping off. Maybe they're just the little, tiny little things. But yeah, I thought he was probably going to go back and sleep. Just had that Richmond moment written on it.
And he's the one guy you never want kicking.
I thought he was washed up. I thought he was cooked.
I agree with you there. But yeah, I mean they're very opportunistic. The Tigers, that's what they did show. It's like Martin goal was unbelievable. Yeah. And whenever Port looked to sort of run away with the game, Richmond were just right there in their corner, so they wouldn't have lost any fans at all.
I was just going to say, you just mentioned Dustin Martin near the end of the game. They had him up forward for like that entire last quarter, trying to hope that they could get the ball up there so he could do his magic. But would he not have been more important in the guts, actually getting the ball down there?
Well,
Or are they judging that we can get it up in the forward 50 and Dusty's just going to win it and kick a goal? Like, could he not have been more useful on ball? Like we always say about Paddy Dangerfield. Would he not have been more useful actually winning the ball?
At the window,
giving them opportunities.
They probably wish they maybe flicked him in the midfield earlier now, but the same line of thinking has probably served them well in the past, I guess. So it's a fine line though, isn't it? Between him being the match winner and going a little bit cold.
And winning the match.
Yeah, well, he got a moment and he nearly did it.
Quick little nugget.
Yep.
Lucky Jones for Port
pack.
Adelaide, the debutant, on his birthday. Looked very tasty with
Oh,
the mullet and
yes.
the moustache.
His 31st birthday?
He was-
19.
he was honestly one of their better players. He was great. Really
you could
good.
see why he's a cult figure at this
It
club.
looks like he should just be laying bricks on a Saturday overtime. But
He should be playing down at Belmont time.
Certainly, and Aaliyah as well was amazing. Aaliyah was really good.
Really
So
good
certainly some
pickup.
positive signs for Port Adelaide, which brings us into our next game, Daniel.
Yes, well, Collingwood and the Giants, which was, like Tiz alluded to, I had the Saturday night off and I thought, what a great chance to watch some footy, and I couldn't find a good game anywhere. Carlton and the Suns was close, but not the most watchable game. And this one was similar. And I mean, the game itself, it was a fairly tough week of tipping, and this one I felt was one of the easier ones to tip the Pies. And the Giants, the form they'd been in, it's just amazing what you can do when you come together. And the Giants have lost a lot, but in terms of personnel, but they Tiz is just absolutely,
It's just the
absolutely necking a vodka over there. A couple of gulps, but they found a lot as well in terms of, if you look at Ash, Isaac Cumming is starting to come along. Yeah. And even with, this Giants midfield that's cooked, all of a sudden, Cornelio goes out and they're sort of struggling, whatever. Callan Ward just goes back in. And he sort of goes from playing where he doesn't want to play to back where he likes to, gets 37. Taranto is back in form. And a few sort of...
I know you talk about that midfield. I know you were disappointed about them resting Flynn, but Mumford actually came in and was a beast for the Giants.
That's what I was
He's
gonna
still
mention.
just as good as he's ever been.
Which is nuts.
Just against Grundy, though.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow, next week, he'll just have nothing.
He must have a picture of Grundy on his wall, just gearing up every year to knock this guy out. I think you told me 5 in a row he's gone against.
Last 5 he's won against Collingwood.
I could have sworn I legit thought that he did retire for
Yeah,
real this
for
time.
real,
But he was probably doing the coaching warm-ups again and I'm still better than all these guys. He'll be playing till he's 40.
And, I'm not saying Giants going to make finals from here, but it might have just saved their season. Just, comes out for that 1, maybe 2 games. And
Or at least it's saved Leon Cameron's head for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Well, probably watching it, I just sort of thought, what are these teams? They did look like 2 bottom 8 teams going toe-to-toe, but both had a bit on the line, and good on the Giants, very good, backs against the wall sort of game. Touched on them a bit, but I think the Pies are probably the biggest talking point out of it, to not get the job done on their home deck, and that's just a game they have to win, and I think they're just about a bottom 16.
It's all downhill from here, and you look at Taylor Adams, 10 weeks, they reckon, for PCL, one of their best midfielders.
Giants had 3 senior players injured. They had 7 players under 10 games. In that game, which is crazy.
That's a big stat.
Considering that the names on paper that Collingwood still have. And I didn't think they played terribly with that last quarter. It was poor.
But if you look at their side, their backline is good with Howe and Moore and a few soldiers down there, but their midfield is bottom 6 in the comp, and their forward line... When it gets going, it can be okay. When Cox is up about to go, he might check, has his days, but more or less it's disappointing, I reckon. And that midfield is, without Adams, they're going to need a throw to go in there or side bottom right in there.
Well, it means that Finlay McRae comes in.
Yeah.
He has to come in.
Well, true.
And Collingwood have to start playing the youth now because it's...
The Great Barrier Reef, he'll come in and
Reef McInnes. Is it potential rebuild territory for Collingwood this year or end of this year?
I wasn't thinking that far, but...
come on, tell me, Tiz, are they cooked or not?
They definitely weren't going to make the 8. But I don't know if they will, but they've got a lot of work to do, and it seems like they've got a few injuries that are definitely going to hamper them, but you're going to have to play some kids, that's for sure. So they've lost 5 of the last 6 against the Giants, so a bit of a bogey team, and talk about bogeyman. We've got Shane Munford every time he plays him.
He's the real life boogeyman.
Yeah, he's just in Pie's nightmares. But yeah, they've got a lot of work to do, and it's going to be a very tough second half of the season with them.
But it's amazing how like the tides kind of turn, because even last week I was kind of starting to hype them up a little bit again. Like they only just lost to the Lions, and we were going, geez, their midfield actually isn't that bad. Sidebottom, Pendlebury, Taylor Adams are still high quality players, but well, now they've lost Adams, and now we're seeing that you need more than 4 or 5 guys to make a midfield.
Yeah, I think fully fit their midfield is okay, it's passable, but when you lose your best one, and a couple others are out of form.
I reckon they're just praying for Dacos number 2 to get onto the list.
Yeah.
They need him.
And I didn't even hear about this, but to just add insult to injury, Sire went off with the injury sub because of severe gastro.
Really?
I didn't even know about that.
Wow.
I thought he was injured, but apparently
that
it was
could have
just
been
the
an
case of
embarrassing
like,
moment.
I'm sick, but I want to push through it, and
Oh my god.
That could have ended badly.
Yeah, it could have ended really
That
bad.
could have
been
that could have been a
national
I might have had to
television.
sub off the
Uniform
rest of the
change.
team.
Could have
They
been
just
a
come
uniform.
out in their clash jumper after.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
When did they start wearing brown pants?
Oh my god.
they run in as Collingwood, they run out as Hawthorn. Sure, take us through your game,
Wow.
please, so we can move on.
That's full on.
Sorry, yes. So,
Sorry, yes.
What a game that was.
it's been a case that you guys pick these big blowouts, and I keep going for the short margins. So, Swans and the Bombers. I think it went Swans just in about 3 points in the end there. But, geez, that Bombers young brigade, we've said it before, and everyone's been hard up the Swans young brigade, but Bombers and Swans, I reckon they're two teams with the best young talent coming up and about. Like, I just don't know what to say. Like Cox
was really impressive.
amazing, and yeah, they're just full of amazing talent. I reckon the
Braden
Bombers.
Ham just
Ham.
recently
Oh, it's just
today.
yeah,
Sorry,
gonna
mate.
say him.
Just like
Yeah.
in draft,
Yeah.
I picked one just before you. So
But he's a guy
yeah.
that we'll talk about the
Yeah.
Perkins, blah blah blah, Cox, but Ham was
Yeah.
sort of first round pick
Yeah.
a couple of years back.
He's been around for a while, and
Yeah.
he's filled in.
He's
I
done-
didn't
yeah.
recognise him.
He's been eating a bit of ham. He's been really built up.
Christmas ham.
He's a big piggy. But no, they were looking really impressive, and I really thought that the Bombers were going to run away with it. I even put the tweet up. I said, do we reckon that they'll hold on from here, or the Swans will come back? And 10 minutes after I'd already said that, the Swans were in the lead. It's like, okay, well...
People voting, they're like, oh, okay.
It was such a quick comeback. Was it 25-point lead to the Bombers or something like that?
Yeah, they had a fairly reasonable lead. It just looked like they were going to keep going. The Swans, initially just looked like they were rattled, completely caught off guard by the Bombers, who were just going amazing. And it's weird, we're looking at the Bombers at the beginning of the year going, oh, they're hopeless. They're kind of doing a big rebuild sort of thingy. And now they're actually looking good. They lost the game still.
It's all about effort. Yeah, and it goes back to that
what we said.
Heppel's speech. Yeah, they've got the belief there, and they're going to try every week and push teams just based on effort.
But it was really impressive. And Franklin looks like he's not even really trying, still kicks 3 goals. He's kicked 3 goals each game
really
he's played, and he got up to 950 now, has he, in the goals? Or
He did, yeah. So his next milestone, which is a big talking point, and we sort of put some content out during the week about, will he get to 1,000? If he does, do you reckon there'll be a mad crowd rush onto the field again?
You wouldn't be able to stop him.
Yes,
unless you did a massive,
everyone. Yeah.
unless they did a massive thing saying we're definitely going to fine you 20 grand or something.
which would be un-Australian.
It would be
But you can't do it once the first 5 or 6 people get on. Usually everyone goes, all right, we're doing it.
People
And they all
power.
go.
We should be the first 4.
I just need a
Legit, if he's on 997 and he's playing in Sydney, I'm getting
Yeah.
on the plane.
Can we do what that other guy did?
Fun.
When bloody-
Yeah. When will anyone
No one will
kick
ever see it
1,000
again.
again?
Yeah.
Let's get
What
a
a
bloody
moment.
GoFundMe
Yeah.
to help
I'm just
pay
thinking
the
about the
fine.
fine though.
No, we
Nah,
get a
they won't
GoFundMe,
find it.
mate.
They won't find
Start
out.
They
something.
can't find everyone.
But
Everyone. So it's just like
Find one person, it's Tyson.
it'd be like
Shorty
short-
pushes
shorts
Tyson
high
onto the
underneath.
field.
And then
I'll be wearing a glasses and mustache. They won't know who I am.
So will I, and they'll still recognise me.
Oh well, there you go.
We
Mate.
were speaking about a bit of mischief.
Yeah.
Heaney Did he break his hand?
Yeah,
he broke his hand punching somebody in the head.
Pushing off Zach Dasher, yeah.
How do you do that?
Weird.
Like,
I think they just
try
didn't
it
suspend him because it was just silly.
He's
just so prone to injury.
He has the weirdest injuries of all time.
It's like, whoops, the daisy.
He's not breaking something or a tendon or getting glandular fever.
I didn't know Zersacha was Superman, for God's sake. How does that happen?
Yeah, that
crazy how
was
it can
unfortunate.
change.
Hopefully it opens the door for Will Hayward to come back in, who we did mention last week, but they've got a bevy of options, the Swans, to come in, and they're looking great. A special mention to Hickey again, even though he did get caught holding the ball and it wasn't paid.
He played really well,
and he's playing really well.
That was a big thing, that non-decision.
But
some people have said, the AFL brought in rules saying that the ruckmen don't have prior. But surely that's not actually the case in that extent. Like, I know the rule used to always be, if you take it out of the ruck and get touched, then it's holding the ball because you had prior to tap. They reduced it so rucks could take it out and, take a couple steps and then you... But surely, what's that mean? Max Gawn can grab it and he can run 50 metres, but if he gets tackled, they go, that doesn't count because you had no prior.
The 3 steps that he took after he grabbed it out of the ruck...
That should have created the prior.
When one step, he's still a ruckman. 2 steps, he's just another midfielder. And if he gets tackled, 3 steps, it's holding the ball.
But the AFL ticked off the decision,
That's
saying,
that
was
crazy.
And it actually happened earlier in the game as well, that exact same thing.
Incident,
it wasn't as extreme, but the players were having a go at the umpire going, what's going on here? Why was he not pinned? And he goes, well, he had no prior. Ruckman don't have prior anymore.
It's amazing that they ticked off on it. I can't believe
they
it.
should have said, no, we've changed the rule. We do think that they can run a little bit, but surely not that many steps.
Yeah, doesn't matter how you get the pill. Like, isn't that holding the ball in any sort of circumstance? Like, whether it's out of the ruck, whether it's from a player, it's bizarre. But
I think Blitzards took 0 steps, but everyone's happy to tick that as wrong. But he had a lot of time, and whether he took out of the ruck doesn't, as Shaw said, no matter how he got it, he had plenty of time to get rid of it. The umpires just weren't brave enough to pay it, and I don't know how they ticked it off. So it's absurd.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Blitzards because that segues us perfectly into the final game we're going to review, Melbourne versus Geelong.
It was such a great game too,
yes,
wasn't it?
It was exquisite. Melbourne won by 25 points, which for them is fantastic. They're now 4-0 and sit equal top of the ladder.
Best start of the season since 94.
Yeah, I think they're officially finals and flag contender is what I've got written down here. So
really? You didn't sound like
contender?
I hate people saying they're the real deal. I hate that. No one's the real deal until it's finals because people still get found out back then.
But they are the real deal.
Yes, but they are the real deal. Their balance of senior and new players is perfect, and their top end players are all firing at the moment. In Gawn, Track, Clary, Viney, Lever and May have been fantastic, and obviously May's going to miss a few weeks with a fractured skull.
Shit.
The Cats got Isaac Smith to be the cherry on top of the icing on the cake. But at the moment, Smith is the flour holding the bloody cake together. They're relying too much on him to kick 2 or 3 goals to get them back into it in the close games, which is a concern. Close and Narkle for the Cats need to stay in the team for the rest of the year. That was clear. And there's probably some senior players or a mix of players, but definitely some senior ones that need to come out. But there's probably going to be Parfitt, Dangerfield, Rowan, hopefully Cameron coming in for the Cats this week. So
some good names.
I'm not pressing the emergency panic button just yet on the Cat. The Cat. Just the single cat. Just the Cat entity. I think Geelong fans are sort of subconsciously waiting to see what happens when they get some players back. But yeah, they'd want to have some big improvements. But Melbourne were clearly the better team on the day by far. And
By Jingos.
Melbourne carved the Cats.
Yeah.
Like it was...
Like a Christmas hand.
It was a non-contest early until Geelong sort of found a way, as they always do. They always find a way to fight back in some regard and seemingly always wrestle their way back to nearly be in some sort of a contest. But Melbourne's way they played the game looked far more damaging and from the get-go looked way
Melbourne
more
just
damaging.
looked so impressive. And from what I saw, I was physically at the game, but
but mentally.
I wasn't mentally at the game. I was out there in the weather for about a total of 10 minutes before I was settled in the Bullring bar down
He's knocking the beers back.
Just a couple of beers. may have stayed till about 7 p.m. I don't know when the game finished. But no, they tore them apart, the Demons, and the Cats looked unsettled. Not really sure what was going on. You know, some of the young fellas, it's understandable. You know, Zach Guthrie and that who. Sorry, he couldn't say.
I couldn't help laughing.
It looked like it was just Selwood was the only guy trying in that game.
Stewart stopped like 10 million goals, it felt like. And there was a few patches.
There were just a lot of terrible errors that led to instant goals, and the Cats not converting. Tomahawk was missing goals that normally you'd expect him to kick a couple. Like
Tiz made a really good point about where Hawkins is taking his set shots from, though.
He's getting a lot right on 50 on the angle he loves like,
on
but
the boundary.
but had 50 on the boundary. He's not going to kick too many of those
In the wet as well.
Which is partly Geelong's ball movement, isn't it? You know, it takes that long by the time he can find any space. Oppositions have set up to go, have that shot.
He desperately needs help. He needs Rowan, he needs Cameron in there. I think things are going to open up much more with just two other options that are going to take the attention away from him.
Just a thought, we talked about how successful Jack Henry's last bounce was last week. And he's obviously got the confidence to try it again, but it just slipped straight as he bounced it straight into the arms.
He looked at Tui.
Lever looking like a soccer goalkeeper.
Yeah.
If Stewart did a good job stopping 10 goals and Lever, I felt like stopped all of Geelong's forays forward as well. So
I think with the Cats, like you said, it'll be interesting when they do get their key movers back and how they look to sort of play when they're at full strength. But Melbourne, they're the real story out of this.
That's what we're talking about today. Yeah.
How far can they go? Like, what do you reckon?
Oh, it's still too early to tell, I think.
Because I don't reckon anyone had them in the 8.
None of us did in our predictions.
Not here.
I don't think so.
I don't think there'd be many that thought they would make the 8.
I think it's still too early to tell. This is coming from the guy that wrote West Coast off after 3 weeks last year. But
I'm not paying you the big bucks to sit on your hands, Jay. What can they do?
Wait, is he getting paid?
He's getting all the ad revenue.
Well, at this rate, I think they can make top 4. Yeah, I think they
top
can make
4.
top 4.
Wow.
I'd say they make top 4.
Along with Carlton, like you mentioned.
That's going well.
Top 4.
No, I think how they've played so far this year, all their premium players are firing.
Chuck a Wiedemann in, chuck a Brown in.
You look,
They've got a
I
lot
was
to
just
come
about
back,
to
yeah.
say, you look at that back line,
May
and Lever are absolutely killing it, and it's something I've considered would improve them, because last year they were both kind of in and out with injury and that sort of thing, but they have found a perfect sort of combo there in those two. A few guys running off half back. Their midfield, obviously, Max Gawn is still the best ruckman in the comp. Clayton Oliver's a gun. All these guys.
Isaiah Pickett. That's his change. And Luke Jackson as a second ruck's giving them so many options.
So you look, I don't know, I think Ben Brown might have kicked a goal in that VFL Pracky match, but you give him a couple more weeks to build himself up in that, and I reckon he's going to tear it apart in that forward line. With
options.
With that midfield giving it to him, as long as it's not Clayton Oliver kicking it, because he'll just roost it as high as he can into the 50. But if you get it in the hands of some of their better midfielders, they'll be hitting him up. He'll be getting what he did not get at North at all that last year. I reckon Ben Brown can really turn some heads.
Yeah,
not wrong.
They'll go to a super threat then when he comes in.
Yeah, the D's. I suppose backtracking to the game, backtracking. If they had a kick straighter, it would have probably been a 10-goal game. And without Tom Stewart, probably 10, 12-goal game. So Stewart was very good there. But no, the D's are very exciting. Could be top 6, could win a final or 2. We'll see how that all goes. But not a lot has changed, except they're much more efficient going forward now. They're lowering the eyes. They're kicking. We saw early in the game. Their kicking was like laser-like. Just up the ground was really precise, and they've been able to address that kicking inside 50 issue, because it wasn't an issue of getting it in there. It was just actually hitting targets and being effective when they're up there. But again, they'd like to improve their kicking on goal, but they're doing a lot better.
Who'd they beat round 1? Because they've beaten St Kilda, the Giants, and the Cats. All sort of.
I think they had a pretty easy game in round 1.
I'd love to see them. I think they can. Yeah, I think they can definitely. I reckon 5th or 6th at the moment, sort of which is up on what I thought. But I'd love to see him against a Port, against a big game. Like Geelong's good scalp, Giants maybe not at the time, but So I think it'd be really interesting to see in a big heavyweight clash how they hold up.
Yeah, I just think their list is like primed at the moment.
They're definitely better.
Yeah, 100%.
Better than we thought.
It's just whether they can.
Yeah.
Another factor is, I know we're getting ready to move on, but we're talking about Benny Brown and Wiedemann coming back in. That gives Tom McDonald the chance to be out of the forward line.
Swingman.
A lot of people believe like he would be good as a wingman, similar to Richo and all the tall guys that used to run down the wing, Blitz-Av style. I've heard he does have the tank to do it, and that he is talented enough to hold that role, and that's perfect. If you have a tall player who can kick it, and then still have a bunch of tall players that he can kick it too. Unlike the Cats who are having Hawkins run all the way up there and turn around and have to kick it to Brian Myers.
I think, options are good to have, and in the interim, he might even go back, to fill the spot where May isn't there. But he is versatile. Whether he's good in any of those positions, we'll wait and see. But he's only been so at this point, I reckon. But they've got some good key
stars. Do you think that tall department, because even Mitch Brown is still performing pretty well in the VFL. Yeah, I know the Cats he didn't do much, but at the Demons he's actually playing well, and he was playing well for the Bombers when he was back there as well.
Absolutely, a lot to think about there, but we've got a few other games to...
What are you trying to round up?
Not at all. We'll do a recap of the other games from the round.
Thank you very much. The Doggies had a gutsy 19-point win over the Lions in a very cold Ballarat.
They're still the team to beat. The Dogs are definitely roaring.
Yeah. They're looking
or
beautiful.
Barking. I don't know how you
they're woofing. St Kilda turned on a 5-cent piece to pull off an incredible 20-point victory after being 33 points down to the West Coast Eagles. I reckon they drank their own bathwater halfway through the third. That was a crazy win.
Unbelievable. Well, you were in the movies, weren't you, at three-quarter time?
Yeah.
I was
30 points down, and I came out and they won.
And I was like, sweet, we got that one. Short tipped the Saints, and then the Saints came back. I was spewing. So Carlton got the job done by 11 points over an injury-plagued Suns outfit in Gold Coast. North challenged the Crows, but went down by 41 in the end. And Fremantle dismantled Hawthorn by 15 points in the West.
It was pretty amazing. I couldn't believe the North and Crows. North were up there. I was like, oh my God, North going to overrun and win this? Yeah. And I went, oh wait, it's the third quarter. Fourth quarter, Crows just turned it on and got it easy. But it was
we'll whip through some of the tips for next week.
Round 5.
It's going quick already.
5 round.
We're going through some interesting games to start the week. So Marvel Stadium, St Kilda versus Richmond. Well, they're versing Richmond.
First.
I've gone the Tigers here by 7 points. Not with a lot of confidence, but...
Jeez, you even got the margin in there.
Yeah, margin 7 points. I know St Kilda are playing really well now on this Marvel Stadium deck, but surely the Tigers have to come back at some point?
Yeah, they surely, as you say, can't lose 3 in a row. No, I generally don't think they would lose 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
Interesting then. Yeah,
they lost to
Port
Adelaide
and
Sydney.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Jiminy Jillikas.
Tigers too strong.
Yep.
Saints.
Let's do it.
Hello.
They have the confidence.
Richmond. Then we've got, the Battle of the Birds, West Coast and Collingwood at Optus Stadium. I've tipped the Eagles just because Collingwood are shocking, but they've been in a similar situation before.
West Coast for mine over there. Pies got the job done.
Yeah, the Weagles.
They're in the final, but West Coast too strong, I think.
Pies. The Weagles will weather a victory here.
Yeah, very confident on the Eagles.
Wonderful. Next up, the Derby in Sydney, or the Battle of the Bridge, I think it's called.
How many times are you going to skip that? Sorry.
Sydney. I'm tipping in this game.
Alright, I will also tip the Sydney Swans at the SCG. They're going along well.
Yeah, Swans, I reckon they're performing better. They'll beat up on the younger brother.
Sydney for me.
And then next on my list, I think I skipped one though, is the Bulldogs and Gold Coast. I think we're all tipping the Dogs here anyway. That's probably why I skipped it.
Back on track, the Dogs.
Back on track.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bulldogs will keep barking.
Sure.
Port and Carlton at the MCG. Probably safe to say
Port Adelaide, I think. Yeah.
Port Adelaide.
Yeah, Port Adelaide.
But they'll definitely have their challenges though with Carlton.
Yeah, I think Port will win it.
A couple of close encounters recently.
This one I've struggled with. Brisbane and Essendon at the Gabba. Based on Tyson Heppel's speech the other night, I really wanted to tip Essendon, but surely Brisbane have to bounce back into some form. Back at home, they'll be better.
Yeah, a little bit like Geelong there, a bit sort of rusty at the moment. But yeah, Brisbane at home, you'd think, but Essendon will probably take them down to the wire, I think.
I'm pretty confident on Brisbane.
All right, I'll go against the grain and go the Bombers.
Oh, boy!
I've already given up on tips. I lost first place.
What do you mean? You won down?
Yeah, I've lost first place.
Whoa,
So
okay.
I'm going,
No, don't throw it in.
Adelaide Oval, Crows versus Freo. Adelaide for me.
Adelaide it'll be a tough game.
I reckon it's tough.
Freo for me.
Yeah.
That five.
Will be
just
close.
turned
Freo
that
aren't playing
team around.
poorly. Yep.
Bro, going Adelaide,
Yeah.
but just not sure.
I'm gonna
Not
have
sure.
They should
3
drop one
against
soon.
the grain.
Yeah.
This could be a big
Melbourne versus
victory
Hawks
all
at the MCG. Probably Melbourne all around for everyone.
Yeah, I think Melbourne. Hawthorn will be
Hawthorn will
competitive.
take it up to them,
Yeah,
but they're
yeah.
still just too young a side.
Melbourne.
And geez, if the Dogs are woofing, then the Cats are coughing up fur balls at this rate. But the Cats versus North at home, you hope the Cats get this one in the bag.
I honestly can't see North losing this one.
Oh,
No,
you can't.
Geelong and Geelong, I think.
Cunnington suspended for a week now. Also,
Oh,
really?
No Luke McDonald, no Cam Zerha. So
What did
No, midfield.
Cunnington do?
bumped Rory Laird off the ball and got a week suspension.
How's your Supercoach draft looking now, Watto?
Yeah. Oh, shot to Watto on the podcast. Oh my god. Watson just reeling from that
Well, I was
comment.
going to
but,
send me an audio question, but he hasn't quite sent
He
it.
just-
He wanted to talk about Brisbane, but maybe he'll send
That's a
one.
shame. Yeah, send
for another
send
time.
it through. Anyone that wants to send any questions.
I thought it'd be
through.
good, just we could play a little
Yeah.
audio question
I
one
might have to
time.
get the bleeper button ready, but just to finish off here, we're going to play a little game. We missed the game because Shorty was missing. We had a few things on, but we're going to get straight back into it.
Warm up,
We've got
boys.
to warm up stretches.
Stretch it
So
up.
I'm going to host this one this week. So the name of the game is, as I turn my computer away from Tyson, who's cheating.
He's cheated before, so.
I'm going to name.
He's got it up on his phone.
Oh, he does too.
Unbelievable.
No, just phones away, please. Phones away. Thank you. I'm going to name 2 teams, and the first person to name a player that's played for both teams gets a point. Okay?
Boy,
So we don't have buzzers. It's just
No
names.
buzzers, just first person to say it.
Wow.
Yeah?
No
And
buzzers.
collectively, we'll be able to. Unless
Yeah.
you want to say
No,
your
no,
name
no.
first. No? Okay.
I'm happy.
So there's
You're
10.
host.
There's 10 combinations here. So whoever gets the most point out of the 10. Okay?
Like Riley said himself 4 times.
All right. Are you ready? The name
Yes.
game. The
Yes, let's
name
play
game.
this.
Okay.
Oh, get us some music for that too, just like Untouched.
Sorry, I was in another universe then. But
So 2 teams.
2 teams, yeah.
Switch on, Anderson.
First person of our group
Yep.
to say a player that's
Yep.
played for both
Mhm.
teams.
Yep.
And I probably guess we can
Cool.
substantiate if that is correct or not.
Just
but-
quickly, I wasn't listening. Can you explain the rules?
Okay, are you ready? The first
Yeah.
Great.
allotment of teams. Crows and Hawks.
Kyle Hardigan.
Yeah, nice.
Great, that's a good one. So,
Very good one.
Tiz. Next up, Dogs and Suns.
Josh Brewer? No. He was at the Giants, wasn't he?
Suns, Dogs.
Did Harbrow play for the Dogs?
Yes, he did, Riley. Good one.
Nice.
There's a couple of tricky ones in here because I was
Yeah,
struggling
yeah.
to think of them myself.
It's a
But
good game, actually.
some of them will be like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Freo and Geelong.
Joel Hamling.
Wow, Chucky with an early lead. Tiz is
Bing.
rattled because he was thinking of that too.
Anyone for Marcus Drum?
Really?
Next one, Pies and Swans.
Nick Davis?
Well, that counts.
Is that substantiated? Is
Yeah,
that correct?
that-
Yeah, okay. Was he on Pies' list? I didn't even know that.
This
so-
is going a long time
Okay,
ago.
all
but
right.
yep, that
It
is
just has to
correct.
be a listed player, so that's correct.
Oh,
So
yep.
1, 2. All right, next up, GWS and West Coast.
Who's that Ruckman guy?
GWS.
Oh, Jonathan Giles.
Great, Tyson.
Thanks.
Shook is just running.
That's a little goal assist.
Who's the running? She's like, oh. Okay, so 2-2-1.
Yes.
Very close race here. Next one, Saints and Cats.
Michael
Oh,
Gardner. No,
Ryan
Charlie
Gamble.
Gardner.
Charlie Gardner.
And Ryan Gamble, does it?
I think
just first,
Daniel
yeah.
was first
Ch-
here.
Ch-
So
Charles Gardner.
I ran with Michael Gardner. Panicked.
2 all here. So geez, we got
two.
3 left. So
Oh my
it could be a draw.
Wow.
All right, ready? Port and Brisbane.
Jared
Sam
Pollock.
Mays.
I think I heard Jared
Oh,
Pollock
first.
first. So Shorty gets
Shout out
the
to
lead
Watto.
late. All right, next up, Blues and Lions.
Brendan Favola. Oh, you dirty dog.
So it can only be. So don't answer, Chook.
Oh, surely.
He can. Sorry, no. He can make it a draw. He can make it a draw. He can make it a draw.
And then you got to come up with a quick decider.
Yeah, well, come on. All right. So 3, 2, and 3.
Yikes.
The last one we've got. Oh, second last one. Tigers and Demons.
Oh, no.
Jaden Post? No. Yes? Don't know.
I don't know who that is.
Oh,
Look, Demons and
Tigers and Demons.
Brad Miller.
Jared.
Brad Miller.
Brad Miller.
Yes.
Tiz McMahon. I was going to use McMahon.
Now, would you like me?
Dogs. Oh, I was thinking Jordan McMahon as well, actually.
Yeah, Jordan McMahon. So Tiz, you're on 4, 2, 3.
Tiz is lining up for the punt.
All right. This one should be
For the
interesting
draw.
as well. The last one for the potential win, for the potential draw. Bombers and North.
Yeah, this one's tough.
And North.
Bombers and North Melbourne.
Gee whiz.
I'll time it out if we can't get there.
No. We'll keep it going. I can't think of a single.
Oh no, this is tense. Bombers and
Who
North.
plays the Bombers in North?
They
There's people
How far
yelling
back
out.
can we go?
had so
Go
many
to
good
the
games.
anyone.
I'm going to buzz it out soon.
Whatever.
You got 5 seconds.
Oh my god.
4,
Greg Post.
3, 2.
Oh no.
All right, I'll move on. No, we didn't get one. We can look that up later
So
and let us
Tiz
know.
wins?
So, no. We'll keep going until we get a winner.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
we'll do one
you
more
just
because
make
we
it
need to
roll.
have one more allotment. So,
Okay.
Alright.
so let's go. All right, are you ready?
They're not very tradie friendly.
No, they're not. Let's go. All right, ready for the next one? Dogs and Swans.
Oh, Andreas Everett.
Yeah, no.
That's a great pick.
Andreas
Tyson,
Everett.
officially
Nice,
the winner
cheers.
of the second game that we've played on the
What
AFL
was the
Unlimited
North
podcast.
Bombers one? Did you have one?
No, I didn't have
a
just
list.
picked them at random,
So
No one's ever been
we could
tried.
have just said any random
yeah, no,
name. and you
congratulations,
just
you've won. So
trusted us on
Right,
faith.
so Tiz has won both of the games so far. We need to
Yes,
pull
yes.
something out here, guys. I've won nothing and I've hosted one, so I've had no
I
chance. But
still want to think of a bomb.
Who's hosting next?
yeah,
I'll
we'll
go
have
with
to
Ned.
think about that. But that was it for this. That was it for this week's episode. That was really fun. Thanks, guys, for joining along in the game, and hope you all
great.
played along at home.
That was the best thing love.
Make sure if you're listening to follow us, like I mentioned before, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, YouTube. Comment away. Put some questions in. Put some audio questions or some Facebook comments or whatever. We want to hear from our fans, and we like responding to them. So, boys, thank you for joining this week.
Thanks for having
Happy
me.
to be here as
Thanks,
usual.
mate.
We'll see you next week.
kindly.
Thanks for listening to this episode. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter. AFL Unlimited, because footy is limitless.